but you want to be private. So you're equally entitled to use that to discharge a debt obligation. So it says Federal Reserve note. Note means that if you use this, you're not paying for something. You can't pay for a debt with a debt. A note is a debt instrument. So it says this note is legal tender for all debts if you want to use it public or if you want to use it private. I want to stay over here on the private side. Sole proprietor right to privacy. I'm not an employee for a fictional or artificial person or corporation. Non-employee compensation. Didn't tell you on the 1099. It didn't say income. It said you were a non-employee and you were receiving compensation. I listed 7 to 21. If you needed to know, well, what is income? They got it on the 1040 form. From 7 to 21. Wages, why is wages income? If income is a government benefit. Because they say, you know that we could work you in our factory, okay, all week for 40 hours and pay you $5 an hour. Oh, no, we ain't gonna let you do that. You gotta give me at least $7.25, minimum wage. Oh, thank you, boss. Thank you for looking out for me. So it became a benefit. Your wages are a benefit. If a bee can produce $20,000 worth of honey in a week, he said, well, things are slow. So I got to find a way to get some. So he go work for Sunny Farms Honey Factory. So the bee go in there, we know you work $20,000 a week in honey. But if you come work for us, we're gonna give you $75 an hour, that's it. So now he has to sell his soul to doing that, because now he's employed there. So non-employee compensation statement of no income, government benefit for my private commercial labor property. My labor is my property. Okay. See the movie Django? When he was at the table with Broomhilda, and he told him that I could take this ball peen hammer and beat her brains out, kill her right here, and I won't get charged with murder. I won't get charged with homicide. Why? He said. You know why? Because she's my property. And I can do whatever I so well please with my property. I can treat her like my hogs. I can let her sleep outside in the forest all night. I don't have to give her anything. She ain't nothing but chattel property for me. And I can do whatever I so well please with her. So your labor is your property. And my name, commercial property, Ahmad Shuib. Disclaimer. You are asserting not your rights necessarily. They'll want to call them rights. I don't need you to give me rights. Talking about parental rights, child custody, children rights. That's legal. Legal means to knowingly, voluntarily give up your rights to your human self, your human intellect, your human rationale, and your human logic, and take out artificial corporate bylaws. What we do with bylaws? They tell you, oh, you know you can elect the president. You can also be the board, you could be the chairman of the board. You can also be the vice president. Oh man, you got a one-man corporation, man. I'm everything. Where you get it from? Because you're one body with many members. And all he's doing is making what God has given to you, okay, in his corporate fiction. So now I'm your master. You came, let me see your mission statement. Let me see your chart. That's all you better be doing. I was coming in and see you, frying no chicken. You said this was a barbershop. You got a license to just do automotive mechanic. What you doing with all this brick masonry up in here? That's not on your charter. You registered with the Department of Corporations in your state. It's limiting you. You could be the carpentry. You could be the cabinet maker. You could be the bricklayer. You could be the roofer. You could be the electrician. But you limited yourself to corporate status. So I, Ahmad Shuib, natural person, consumer, sole proprietor, independent contractor. I'm unincorporated, I'm not an LLC, or any other term as defined by the Internal Revenue Code and Code of Federal Regulations as a legal entity while residing in the state of the Union, Delaware. Voluntarily, knowingly, and intentionally declare that I receive absolutely no valid or verified tax liability in government or privileged benefits in my private commercial labor property or my named commercial property, Ahmad Shuib, that would subject me to Internal Revenue laws as a person, quote, person, end quote, or taxpayer, end quote, as the terms are defined in the Internal Revenue Code. See the difference when you read something instead of reciting? And you have meaning, you have definition. So I just take the pistol they point at me and turn around and make them blow their own brains out. So I'm not gonna read through all that. No question? Oh, any questions? Because I was just gonna go to the 11:20 or whatever. Brother Walker,
Yeah.
Okay.
When I came here, I began to work here, and my wage went up. It was suggested that I incorporate, I become a corporation.
It was suggested to you
Yes.
about who? No, I'm saying.
First of all, by my businessman, by my manager.
Okay.
So it seemed like a good idea at the time. What he had informed me was that the corporation was a separate entity to myself,
Mm-hmm.
and that it was responsible for whatever taxes were due, limited to my work. You know? But now, because of habit, because of abject ignorance,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I find myself filling out for them, sign these forms, you know, and I'm thinking like, wait a second, how do I wind up in debt? How do I wind up having to owe the United States government, you know, $100,000, you know, when it was a corporation? You know, when I'm working for the corporation. You know?
Oil in the water. You mix it oil with water.
Okay.
That's how they deceive you.
Yes.
They make you think you need to step outside your human self.
Yes.
Now, let's say you drive a vehicle?
Yes.
Here? Okay, now, if you were to have an accident, wasn't intentional, it wasn't wanton disregard for the carelessness or safety of another person or property, it was an accident.
Yes.
So they say, well, once they total everything up in my bodily injury or the fire hydrant, if you hit the damage, it's going to cost $75,000. What's going to cover that?
Well, I've got it covered.
No. If you're driving, you probably got
Insurance.
what kind of insurance?
Auto insurance.
Okay, then that don't have nothing to do with you as a human being. Automobile insurance. The insurance, the automobile is, you ain't gonna hit them with your hand. You didn't strike them as a human being. You didn't cause bodily injury. You didn't tear up the fire hydrant with your human self. It was an accident with a vehicle. So you had automobile insurance to protect you against bodily injury or property damage in an accident. So what they tell, oh man, you're gonna lose your assets. Okay, what are you doing? Okay, you take out sole proprietorship, now you commercial. You call up, say, look here, I'm calling Lords of London, you know what I mean? My voice is what I use, in my acting career. So it's very valuable if something should happen and I can't speak well, I'm gonna need some coverage, okay? Michael Jordan maybe had to insure his hands, or Jimmy Durante had his nose, or some woman with beautiful hands, she insured her hands if something should happen. Okay, you get in an accident, see that scar right there if I was in an accident? You know what they call that? permanent disfigurement. Permanent disfigurement. Now the attorney got an opportunity to sue for pain and suffering. Or they can't put me back to the way I was. You take out insurance. Insurance is what protects you, not a corporation. I'm trying to get now where ladies have little daycare programs with children. And the accountants tell them, oh, you gotta be a corporation or LLC. Something happened to the children. My mother just passed last year. She ran a daycare for 40-something years. I had her insurance broken to handle everything. My mom always had insurance. She worked in her name, all the bank accounts was in her name, and I had insurance for it if something should happen. You insure your own interests. You don't need a corporation to do that. So the insurance accountant ain't gonna tell you that. Because he wanna fill out all these crazy forms and get you to sign on the penalty of perjury. A lawyer ain't gonna tell you either. Contract. Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution. Power denied the state. One of them is, no state shall make a law that would abridge the obligation of a contract, legal or moral. Stay out of the legal contract and say this is a moral contract for me as a human being. And you can't trespass against it. Can't trespass against it. And the difference in doing this 1140, this 1120, there's just a couple lines on there. But look at this 1120. Now let's say this is my mother at the daycare and the accountant tell her, oh, you gotta be a corporation to protect yourself. So now that it went from income on the 1040 to the 1099, it says non-employee compensation. Okay, now reach in your pocket after a day's work, and could you please show me what is gross receipts? What is a gross receipt? Okay, returns and allowances, okay, cost of goods sold, gross profit, dividends, interest, gross rents, gross royalties, capital gain, not income. Oh, net income. Net gain, my vision was bad, or loss from whatever this form is. Other income. And this will go on to talk about shareholders, investors. Who in the F could be able to deal with all this? But if you're a fiction, they can get you to believe like Donald Duck. You might well take this and go to Disney World up in Orlando. Kissimmee, Florida, or out Anaheim, and let Mr. Magoo judge it. What do you got on there? It costs a gross income. Oh man, you know how much you owe us? How much you say you owe us? You and your accountant. How much? 100,000. Well, how long is it gonna take to get our money together? Now, if you don't get it the time you agreed to, we're gonna charge you. We're gonna penalize you. We're gonna charge you some penalties and interest. Nothing in the entire world is more dangerous than sincere and conscientious stupidity. I'm 6.5. The decimal point is silent. I told my wife a couple of years ago, I said, you know, sweetheart, early one morning, it took me 62 years to understand old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I. That's how you look at us. Alice in Wonderland. In the Matrix, he said, Neil, you the one, man. Oh, man, Morgan said, no, Neil, you the one, man. I said, what you need a little something. They never talking about the sincere ignorance. You know, we got two pills here. We got a red and a blue. I don't know what it's called. But you take this red one, you go right back to what? When the agent got him, he said, Neil, we've been looking for you for a long time. You got two files here. Over here, you got your social security number, You work for the corporation, the building that you live in, you help the little old lady out, help her with the track, you're a good boy. But now over here, you're the biggest known hack in cyberspace. And Neil said, I know my rights. And the agent looked at him and said, what good is your rights if you can't speak? And then you see him curled up in the corner. There's a saying in scripture, unless you return and become a baby again, you can't enter the kingdom of God. You gotta become an empty glass. And you gotta let the things that are precious to you and for your human self take over from that. And we avoid all that other stuff that has no value to us. No value, no substance, no gain, no profitability, none of it. I had a senior citizen one time that I was visiting with her, and I was helping her grandson, get his driving privileges restored. And she happened to mention to me that she owed her accountant. She paid him $250 a year. I said, could you put your hand on your Social Security statement? She said, yeah. So she left, she had oxygen tank and everything. So she moved around for a while. You can see on the Social Security statement, if you're receiving it, it will say in box 6, voluntary federal income tax. Voluntary. You ain't never had to do it when you was on the job. It was always voluntary. So when she brought it back, I said, she gave me her 1040, and I went to the back and it said 0. I said, Miss Massey, you know why I said 0? Because you don't work anymore. They're not getting you for involuntary tax. She said, he charged you $250 a year. I said, Miss Massey, if you was an accountant and you had 1,000 customers every year, he ain't got to come looking for you. You're gonna rush to get to him before April the 15th. That's $250,000. He ain't even got to open his office up. You don't even see nobody in no tax office on the year. Because that's like Black Friday to them, April the 15th. That's when all the businesses get in the black. So the accountant, he said, she said, Ahmad, why you ain't never tell me that? I said, Miss Massey, would you tell me? Poor people, man. You know what I'm saying? So all that, you ain't got to pay taxes. You don't have no choice. Every one of you see, everything is tax paid. At the point of the good, the service, the manufactured product. Beyond that is, you must contract out your labor, your time, and your resources. You're loaning it out. So this is what we, try to share with you all, so we can reposition ourselves.
I need to spend more time with you up there.
Oh, okay. That's good.
I need to spend more time.
You can't call me too early. You can't call me too late. I'm not 9 to 5. I'm bread and butter, life and death. And the sooner we spend that time with you, Nadia, we can get very close. That's why he's got